Hi everyone. Meeting people from different parts of the globe is always a wonderful experience. You do not only understand different cultures, but actually that helps you to explore yourself too. You can carve new pathways for your destination. I got a chance to meet a guy from United Kingdom. He has over 30 years experience in education system. Yes, Mr. Roy Andersen. He had been rendering his services as an educationist in different parts of the world. Mr. Roy Andersen has plenty of publication on his credit. His writings always influence people to think about intelligence, think about the education system, think about breaking the myths about education, think about opening and revealing the secrets of education. Mr. Roy Andersen joined Kingston College, Lahore last year as a principal. I got a chance to meet him. We had a discussion on plenty of topics, but over here I'm going to share his experiential learning and his views and his tips for the teachers and for the parents. So here we are going to learn some tips for the teachers and for the parents out of the 30 years experience of Mr. Roy Andersen. What he got to say, let's listen to it.
For the teacher, it's so important to tell a story. Whenever you introduce something, tell it a story. We all love stories. Don't just, and try not to use the textbook. You should learn what's in the textbook and explain that in the language of the students with a sense of theatre. I once said to teachers, you should be an actor. And one teacher said to me, I'm not an actor, but they didn't understand what I meant. To be a teacher is to enhance the minds of the students into the learning. And you need a certain language to do this. Familiarity and a sense of trust, which you can obtain by this interaction of a story. And you must always remember that many students, they come into a lesson without any idea what they did last time. So you need to begin some kind of a method that you enable them to be interactive in what happened last time. And I developed a system when I was in Japan. I had 135 students when I was at a medical university. And it was impossible to teach them. I thought, there's too many here. And I devised a system, and this is brilliant. You put them into two rows, row A and row B, where every student is facing each other. And then you ask them to ask each other questions. And then after a certain time, you give a kind of an indication like that. And then when you do that, the student at the end of row B moves right to the other end, and everybody shuffles up and changes a partner. And you can use this method at the beginning of a lesson, sort of like, what did we do last lesson or the last two lessons, to get this information, to get the minds active. This is very important. And then if you're moving through the lesson, you begin to feel that they've lost the pace, do it then, and at the end of the lesson also. So what did we do in the lesson? And this is so important because it enables the students to talk to each other, to catch up with what they didn't understand. Of course, you have to monitor them to make sure they're not talking about a movie or the boys about the girls about the boys. This is human. But if you can help that, and that's it only takes a few moments. It's a very effective technique. I once, somebody said to me, give me a few words about learning. And I said that to open the mind of the student, you must first open their heart. So don't think that authority is the means to teach. Some teachers do, and it doesn't work. You have to give them security. And to do that, and this is especially important, you've got a class who are disruptive. And you know very well you can have 30, 40 students in a class, and they can make your life hell. So you've got to not be the teacher and the students. You've got to get them to see you as one of them. It means you have to go outside the classroom to get into their personal lives so they see you as a friend, somebody they can trust, somebody they want to work with. And also, you have to give them a purpose, their purpose to want to study. You have to help them to have a realization of what is your dream in life. Would you want to be an astronaut? Do you want to be a train driver? Do you want to be an accountant or a model, whatever it happens to be, and explain to them that it's possible, but they need to have steps, and you can help them to the next step and to one step, and so then they can reach this dream and then the money they wanted to buy whatever is in their imagination. It's so important to give love, security, and a purpose. And if you can do that, then you'll find out they'll respond, and you'll be one of them, and your life will be very happy, and you'll really do what you wanted to do, is to help them all to learn. But another thing too is that the classroom is very competitive. You're kind of worrying about how other students are doing, if your grades are relative to theirs. Don't think like that. And be very careful not to hurt another student. Don't pick on other students. As we talk about, the brain is full of brain cells, neurons. These neurons, they don't touch. There's a gap, synaptic gap. And if you have one brain cell, another brain cell, so you have about 50 chemicals, neurotransmitters, that conduct the electrical signal to the next neuron. And we have one of these chemicals called cortisol. And cortisol is very, very important. It saves your life outside the classroom. Inside the classroom, it can destroy your whole opportunity in life. And it works like this. Imagine you're out walking and it's a nice sunny day and you're very happy, and there's the trees around and you see a flower. And you're attracted by the flower. You identify the flower because you've identified other flowers. And you remember shapes and symbols and smells and texture and things like that. You're having a learning experience. Then you hear a noise and you see a tiger or a snake or something like that. And your mind says danger. Now when your mind says danger, it causes a change in your body. You move from the parasympathetic to the sympathetic system. And one of the biggest changes is that cortisol rises. These chemicals are always floating around in your brain. Once the brain kind of hears the word danger, it overproduces cortisol. Cortisol then floods the frontal cortex and it blocks the synaptic gap. So you can no longer think. You're looking at the flower and you just can't understand what you're looking at because your brain is saying, quick, get away from, the mind is saying, quick, get away from the tiger or the snake, and you save your life. But if you're in a classroom and other children are laughing at you, or you're laughing at other children, or you're hurting them in some way because you think it's fun, you're actually causing a change in their brain to operate. And this is not just for the few moments that you think it might be fun. You're causing lifelong changes in their brain. I remember once I met a man who was in his 30s. He was working in the bank. And he told me that he was so bullied at school. This bully still comes into his mind 15 years later, and it stops him from thinking because cortisol comes up and blocks his ability to concentrate on what he's doing. And so give love, help your students, because one day it might be turned around and you might find other people hurting you. So help each other. This is very important for the society of the future. Learn to give security, learn to give help. Don't feel inferior, don't feel insecure. Believe in yourself, believe in God, believe in Allah, and you'll find out that life will be so much happier and so much easier. And if you're happy, and you're in a happy environment, and you have a purpose, you can learn anything. Tips for parents. Parents, we love our children, we worry about them, but not many parents really understand how they can help their child within school. There's about 80% of parents, who believe that, well, they just create the child, and when the child's old enough, they give the child to the teacher, and the teacher does the rest. This is a tremendous mistake. You have the other 20%, whatever, who we found out that parents who have academic experience, they know that they can't rely upon the teacher. They know that they have to prepare the child for that. So these parents will read stories, developing vocabulary, helping the child to relate to different scenarios, and helping the child to develop their language skills and a certain mental stamina to keep up with information. And they'll also teach the child, how to write and do sums, because the child moves from a three-dimensional world of run, laughter, play, happy, cry, into a world of two dimensions in school, which is all rules. And if you prepare your child for that, then they'll be so much more able to keep up with the movement of information as it goes along. Risley and Hart, I think in 2004, they did a research, and they found out that parents who do have an academic background, not more intelligent, but have an understanding of how the academia works, they do read stories. They do teach their child how to read, and they talk to the child about matters about life and things. They take them on an exploration to the zoo or whatever. These children at the age of 4, they have something like 30 million words more in their vocabulary than the normal parent. This isn't just words, it's a mind that relates to information, a stamina to keep up and inquire and engage. And this is so important to help your child. And so storytelling is fundamental. I read stories, I told stories to my children until they were 15 years old. I still try now, but they don't listen anymore. Storytelling is so important. It gives the child imagination. It helps them to have a sense of, especially at night time, to have a sense of security. And you can get your children to tell you stories. And of course the other problem is this. This is destroying our civilization. As you will know as a parent, it's very difficult to get your child to turn this off so you can talk to them. And you may see that if you can come out of the picture, you'd look at your social environment and you'll see your children doing this, you'll see the father doing this and the mother doing this, and nobody's talking. Nobody's developing social language, social awareness. And the problem, of course, the child of today is the mother and father of tomorrow. And so what happens is that once the child is addicted to this, and it happens very, very quick, then they lose interest in listening to the stories of others, the pain of others. Well, that's your problem, I'm playing my game. And when I have a problem, I then don't have the experience to share my problem, so I get frustrated. And then I get all types of behavioral problems. We know that this actually gives out non-thermal radiation that does disturb the brain pattern. It can be very serious.
That's all for today. If you're interested to know more about education and how to improve that, and you want to talk to Mr. Roy Andersen directly, here is his email. You can get connected to him through his email. You can ask questions and he will get back to you with his answers based on his over 30 years experiential learning. I hope you enjoyed it. See you around with different people from different parts of the globe with their point of views out of their experiential learnings. For now, goodbye.